There is so much snow outside. I don't even remember the last time we got this much snow. I want to go build a snowman, but also the wind, not snowman friendly. Hey guys, today is my February wrap up where I tell you the books that I read in February. I didn't actually read like a huge amount of books in February, but the ones that I read I feel like I really enjoyed, well, with the exception of this first one. First book I finished in February was The Infinite by Laurie M. Lee. This is the second book in the Gates of Thread and Stone series, and yeah, I didn't enjoy this book. I thought that I was going to like it because the first book was okay. Second book I was so bored. I wasn't enjoying the story. The characters did things where I was like, would a person do that? And they didn't feel real. So I'm gonna leave my review of that there. I think the series is done. I'm not sure if they're ever going to continue with it. It was supposed to be a trilogy, and I'm okay with not knowing the ending because I don't know if I'd even pick up the last book if I saw it. So it's not a great way to start my wrap up, but that's where I was at with that book. Didn't really enjoy it. Leave it at that. The next book I read in February was The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. This book was so good. This book dealt with racism and police violence in America. It is about this girl, and on the way home from a party with her friend is shot for no reason, just because of the color of his skin, and it deals with the consequences of that. And it was just a really important and insightful book. It was more of a provoking thoughts and interesting book, and one that I really appreciated. It was one that was really easy to read because the writing style was so easy to just flow through it. I feel like it was a really important book, one that I would definitely recommend. The only thing I'd mention about it is there's quite a bit of swearing, but that's not the focus of this book. So if that bothers you, just be aware that it's there. But this is such an important book and really insightful and interesting, and yeah, I can see why there's so much hype about it, and I think it's getting a sequel later this year. So watch out for that. I really didn't read too much this month. So the last book that I finished in February was The Young Elites by Mary Lou. This book had been on my shelf for the longest. I think it's been there since like 2014 or something. And I was like, you know, I'm gonna read it and just push my way through and just finally read it. And I read the first few pages and I was like, I'll quite like this. And then as I got further and further into the plot, I realized that I was really loving this book. This book it blew me away because I wasn't expecting to like it too much. I guess I'd kind of lost interest in the idea behind it because I'd read some similar books and dystopian, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but it's a fantasy book. I was hoping it'd be a fantasy book. Let me tell you what this is about. In this world, all the young people were affected by this plague, and most of them died, and some were left with abilities or markings. The markings are more common, and everyone kind of fears them, and they're not really accepted by society. It is about this girl, Adelena, who has markings from the plague, but so far has never shown any signs of ability, and her father's kind of fed up with trying to find a husband for her, and finally settles on just deciding to give her away to someone who, you know, wants a mistress. And she decides that she's gonna run away because she obviously doesn't want that. And as she runs away, her father catches up with her, and suddenly she has these powers that cause all sorts of chaos. I don't think it's a spoiler if I tell you, because literally on the first page, that she's in prison for killing her father with these new powers. This story is about how she escaped the fate of being burned at the stake, and about others in this world who have abilities. So entertaining, and because it leaned more towards fantasy than dystopian, I was just enjoying the heck out of this book. It's so good. The writing is amazing. It really draws you in, and you can just, it feels so real, like it's a real world. Though, I mean, obviously it's fantasy and it's not a real world. The characters felt like real characters. The main character, if you've ever studied English and they talk about the unreliable narrator, I don't know that she's unreliable so much as unstable. And that's so interesting because you never know which way she's gonna go. It was so good. If you were thinking of picking up The Young Elites, I highly recommend doing so because it was so good. Which brings me to my next book, which I started but haven't finished yet, and that is The Rose Society by Mary Lou, the second in the Young Elites trilogy. And I am about halfway through this book, really enjoying it so far, because so far it doesn't follow the like standard, you know, young adult dystopian or fantasy plot. The sequel so far has been different. It's been different. You know, before I liked Mary Lou, you know, now I love Mary Lou because of what she's done with this. She's completely overtaken my expectations for what I thought this series was going to be, and I'm so glad that she did. I'm just singing the praises for this series because I'm enjoying it so much, and I'm so glad that I have the next book in the series to finish. which I'll probably be doing soon. It's currently a snow day because there's so much snow everywhere that everything's been cancelled, so I have nothing to do except for read and draw and paint, and it's going to be a fun few days. These are the books that I read in February. Not too crazy about that first one, but these three, so good, and I'm so glad that I finally got some books that I'm excited about, because it feels like I've been in a bit of a place where I haven't been appreciating fiction as much as I used to. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.